Nathan Zegura, color analyst on Browns Radio Network, on the quarterbacks in this draft that can help get things rolling in the right direction for the Browns.
Like Shedeur Sanders, I watched 4 of his games and charted them out, and what you see there are some traits that I think are critical to playing the quarterback position at a high level. He's an excellent decision maker in the pocket. He is incredibly accurate. In fact, the most accurate quarterback in the history of college football. And he is so tough. He played behind one of the worst offensive lines that I have ever seen. And his ability to sometimes get away from the first guy, but really he took a beating. Never saw bad body language, never saw him complain, never saw him throw his teammates under the bus. So he's a leader. So the knock would be, maybe doesn't have the strongest arm, but when you watch him on tape, he can make far hash sideline deep out throws in tight coverage, tight windows, and do it just fine. He can get the ball down the field as he did, on a Hail Mary to force overtime. I liked him a lot, and I like Cam Ward a lot. I think that there are 2 quarterbacks in this draft, and fortunately the Browns have the second pick, who can both help turn this franchise around. Cam Ward, incredibly talented, has a cannon, can throw it from any platform. Watching him is a lot more similar to watching, not from a running standpoint, but just in the pocket movement, footwork, all of that, to a Mahomes or to a Lamar Jackson. You could tell he was fans there. Sometimes I'd call it even nonchalant.
So, Fred, I know you have also written an article about updating quarterback projections. So now we're on 3.0. You got a veteran quarterback, Kirk Cousins. You got a rookie drafted quarterback, Cam Ward. Take us through that article and how you arrived there.
Been trying to do it every couple weeks, every other Friday. And yeah, as you said, we're on the third one. Did one last Friday. And I have Kirk Cousins right now. After when he was on one of the shows and disclosed that he played after he injured his shoulder, that the Achilles wasn't the problem. A lot of people thought he wasn't recovered from the Achilles. It was the shoulder. He took a hit against the Saints, and he really wasn't the same. He played the next 5 games. I think he had 1 touchdown, 9 interceptions in that span before they benched him and went with, Michael Penix, who they drafted 8th overall. And my reasoning is, in looking at that, is his stats. He ended up with 18 touchdowns and 16 interceptions, which still had him 20th in the NFL in the quarterback rating. It was 90. And that's still better than anything the Browns had. But you take away, if he wasn't healthy and he played 5 games with 1 touchdown, 9 interceptions, up until that point, he had 17 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, which is more like he has done in his history. And I just feel like, okay, he's worked with Kevin Stefanski, had 2 of his best years with him in Minnesota. He is 37. But to me, if he's going to effectively, most people assume he's going to get cut. He's going to be able to pick whatever team he wants to. He's going to be able to be a free agent. And that team's going to pick up a lot of the contract, as in Russell Wilson went to the Steelers last year. He just seems to make the most sense if he wants to come to Cleveland or if the Browns want him. So that's why I went back to him. I did have Derek Carr. Didn't have a lot of information, but went back to Cousins as of now for the reasons I gave. But I still think, even using the Falcons blueprint, is a lot of people were surprised when they gave Cousins 4-year, $180 million contract and free agent, and then drafted a quarterback 8th. I still think the Browns can draft a quarterback 2nd. Cousins isn't the long-term answer, but say you really feel good about Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, you draft them. And they can sit there and Cousins can play. And he might play for a couple years. Or he could play like a year and you might feel like Michael Penix, he's ready to take over. But I don't think you can have enough quarterbacks, especially in this situation. So, but that's where it comes back to. You don't just take one to take one. But that's kind of across the board, is Ward, Sanders are the top of the chart. And maybe they wouldn't have been Jaden Daniels a year ago or whatever. But does that matter? If there were a middle of a first round guy but they're your guy that can be for 10 years, your quarterback, you take them. But if you're in a position a year from now or 2 years from now, and there's a guy better, you take them. We can say all we want. And I'll say this, I said this long before Myles Garrett threw a fit and asked to be traded. As great as he is, the Browns should have taken Patrick Mahomes with that first pick in 2017. And he might not have been as good as he's turned out in Kansas City, but he's been to the Super Bowl, I think, 5 times. Myles Garrett hasn't been there, and that's why he's in this, quandary.